Last week, the beta for the second game in the Star Wars Battlefront reboot series landed, and we've sunk some serious time into exploring the multiplayer. So, how does it compare to the older versions and, well, the pretty high expectations that fans have placed upon it? I can remember when the beta dropped for the 2015 Battlefront. I was instantly hooked. Every moment I could be playing it, I basically was playing it. I remember thinking, if this is the sample that they've given us, how amazing is the main game going to be? Now, don't get me wrong, I played it a lot, I liked it a lot, I binged it until I couldn't binge it anymore. Yet, however much I played it, I couldn't pretend that I wasn't a little bit disappointed. It didn't have a campaign, and some of the mechanics such as the levelling up and taking on of heroes weren't great. Heading in, I was excited to see if they'd taken this criticism on board and to see where they'd made improvements. Straight off, this game delivers in all the areas that you expect a Battlefront game to deliver. The gameplay is slick and the graphics strong, but with EA making it and, it being a Star Wars product, you can't really expect anything less. Just like the previous beta, this one offered up 3 game modes for players to try. A large-scale map, a medium-sized one, and a space battle. It gives a pretty decent representation of what to expect. The first mode to try is Strike. Set in Maz's palace, the First Order must retrieve an artifact, which, on a side note, I think is probably Luke's lightsaber. The Rebellion must try and stop them. If the First Order does get hold of the artifact, they have to deliver it to an extraction point. An 8-side map is fast-paced and fun. It's pretty similar to modes in the previous game, so it hasn't broken the mould, but EA have decided to make a couple of changes. Whereas the matches in the previous game were determined by time limits or one team achieving their objective, now the attacking team are given a set number of respawns and are restricted by this instead of the time. This forces the attacking team to take on more complex tactics than simply bombarding the objective. Although the map is well designed, to me it felt a little too big for the amount of players in the match. It's rare you'd have a really great standoff between the two teams. It was mainly one-on-ones and both sides chasing the objective. Overall though, it is a really fun game mode and one that you can keep going back to quite easily. That said, people are already finding annoying tactics to completely shut down the opposition. The second mode is called Galactic Assault, and this is the largest scale mode that Battlefront has to offer. In the beta, they're taken to Naboo. The First Order have taken the palace, but the Trade Federation's battle droids are launching a counter-attack. I presume this will change in the main game as these two sides facing off against each other. It doesn't exactly make sense in Star Wars canon, but for the beta, it just gives you a taste of the map and the game mode. As a battle droid, you must escort the droid carrier up the main street towards the palace. The First Order simply has to try and stop them by using ion torpedoes that can be collected from points around the map. Once the droid carrier has arrived at the palace, the battle droids have to storm the throne room and capture it. The fact that there's 2 different sections and objectives for this mode is the cool part. EA started to experiment with this type of gameplay in the previous game, and it feels like they've really taken it to the next level. The really cool part though is however much damage the carrier takes in its journey towards the palace determines how many respawns you get to storm the throne room. The fact that they've added this cause and effect to each stage in Galactic Assault makes it feel dynamic, and it makes the players try harder so they've got better odds in the second stage. On paper, Galactic Assault should be an awesome game mode, however in this instance it does fall a little flat. Although it's 20v20, the map feels too big, a bit like Strike. You don't really run into the enemy that much, and you spend a lot of time running around without seeing another player. I can't exactly pinpoint the problem with the first stage, as in the first game, Galactic Assault on Hoth was one of my favourite game modes, but on Naboo, it just doesn't feel the same somehow. That said, the second stage can be a lot of fun, and each time, depending on how many respawns you've got, it can be played completely differently. I think the faults are down to the map designs, ones I'm hoping they'll fix before release, but if they don't, there'll also be different game modes which will offer different dynamics. I only played a little bit of the space battles, as in the previous game it was probably my least favourite part. That said, they have improved the mechanics in the gameplay, and there is always the novelty of flying around in an X-Wing or a TIE fighter that never really gets that old. Especially when you switch to a first person view and take off the in-game graphics. I mean, it is basically impossible to play like this, but damn does it look cool. So to wrap things up, let's have a look at some of the smaller changes that they've made to the game. They've really improved the way you get vehicles, heroes and pickups. Previously they were very random and felt like they didn't know how to fit into the game, so just sporadically place them around the map. Now however, you get them from the respawn screen when you're selecting which class to play as. You can spend the points you've earned that match on upgrades, so it gives the players a good incentive to, well, get good. But also, how weird are these hero thumbnails? I mean, is that supposed to look like actual people? Is that Daisy Ridley? I mean, I'm pretty sure this one's one of the Weasley twins from Harry Potter. You can also roll in Battlefront, which is good, I suppose, and a fun way to get around the map. But it just looks plain ridiculous when the battle droids do it. They were never meant to move like that. Also, now when you check the stats for the match, you won't see a death count. For me, it takes away the emphasis on getting a good kill to death ratio and pushes players to go for the objective rather than their own personal stats. Likewise to this, the balance in the way the points are awarded out leans more heavily towards helping your team achieve the objective rather than simply killing the enemy. You also get bonuses for working close to your teammates, which is pretty cool. To help with this, when you're respawning, players can group up and be deployed together, and if you stick close to each other, not only do you get extra points, but you can really help swing the match. Has this beta made me more or less excited for the main game? To be honest with you, I'm about the same. This game, even though there are slight improvements, hasn't offered anything too incredibly different to the first one to get me as excited as I was last time. That said, I can't wait for the campaign. A new trailer dropped the other day, and it looks like this game's going to offer a completely different dynamic that we've never seen in the Star Wars universe before. We get to play as an Imperial commander, and the rebels are painted as the bad guys, so it's going to be really interesting to see where this story goes. There's no doubt in my mind that this game's going to be great, and I'm definitely going to be getting it as soon as it comes out. I think as a summary, if you like the 2015 Battlefront, this can only be an improvement on that. You can keep up to date with us on all the usual social media, and find our weekly film and TV podcast on iTunes and Podbean. If you're after something a bit more visual, however, why not stick around here and check out more of our YouTube content. Thanks for watching, we'll see you next time.